Who remembers that old-fashioned favorite, chocolate mayonnaise cake? It may sound strange, but this is a classic recipe straight from your grandma's kitchen. Let me show you how to make this delicious homemade chocolate cake. I have a small bowl here with 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and to it I'll add 1½ teaspoons of baking soda, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, and then ½ of a teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of sugar, and then 1/3 of a cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. Take a whisk and just whisk those ingredients together. And then we'll set that aside and mix up the wet ingredients. So to another bowl, add 1 cup of mayonnaise. Now you'll notice that this recipe does not have eggs or oil. That's basically because that's what mayonnaise is. So the 1 cup of mayonnaise takes place of those eggs and that extra oil. Then add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract and 1 cup of water. Now here's a little hint. If you would like an extra boost of chocolate flavor, instead of adding in water, add in really strong dark coffee. And that coffee will just really enhance the flavor of the chocolate in this cake, making it extra chocolatey. Use a hand mixer and mix those ingredients together. It's gonna look a little weird and milky. Then it's time to add the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients. I'll add about half in to start and mix it in. Add in the remaining dry ingredients and mix until it's well blended. You don't want to overmix the cake batter, but you do want to make sure that there are no dry ingredients left, that it is all really well incorporated. Scrape the sides of the bowl if you need to get all of the ingredients in the bowl. All right, it's time to fill the pan. This cake bakes in an 8x8 baking pan. I'll spray it with some cooking spray just to be sure the cake doesn't stick. Add the batter to the prepared pan. I have the oven preheated to 350 degrees. Spread the batter as evenly as you can and then pop it into that oven. This cake will take about 25 to 30 minutes to bake. You'll know it's done when you touch the center and it springs back. We like to make a simple homemade chocolate frosting. You can make a fudge frosting for the top. You can buy your favorite store brand of frosting to spread on the top to make it really easy. But I'm gonna show you how quick it is to whip up a simple chocolate buttercream. So first I have 2 sticks or 1 cup of salted butter, and I'll take a hand mixer, you can use a stand mixer if you'd like, and just whip those together until it's smooth and creamy. After the butter starts to turn almost a little white in appearance, you will add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract and then about ½ of a teaspoon of salt. Then I'll add ½ of a cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, and 3½ cups of powdered sugar are going to go into this recipe. I'll put about ½ of it in to start and then mix that together. Heavy whipping cream or milk is what makes frosting really creamy. So I have a couple tablespoons of heavy cream. I'm gonna go ahead and add about 2 to start. Then I'll add another couple of tablespoons. Add the remaining powdered sugar and a couple more tablespoons of heavy cream. If you use milk, you will not need to use as much because milk is thinner. Heavy whipping cream is thick, so it takes a few extra tablespoons to get the frosting nice and creamy. Scrape the sides of the bowl to make sure all of the butter and powdered sugar is down in there. And then just whip for about 2 or 3 minutes until the frosting is nice and fluffy. If your cake is not yet cooled, it's best to cover over the frosting. It can form a little bit of a crust on top if you're not using it right away. So if you cover it over, it'll just help keep that frosting nice and soft until you want to use it. After the cake has cooled completely, take your frosting, whether it's homemade or store-bought, and dollop it on and then spread it around. You'll need about 1½ to 2 cups of frosting, and that really just depends on how thick you like your frosting to be. If you'd like, you can put some nuts, some chocolate chip, or even some sprinkles on top. Make sure you do that right after you frost the cake. The frosting will set as it sits and form a little sugar crust on top. So make sure that you sprinkle any fun things on top right away. Serve yourself a nice big piece of cake. You can cut these as big or as small as you'd like. We tend to cut them in about 12 slices, so they are a little bit on the smaller side. And there is your delicious chocolate mayonnaise cake. It'll take you back to your grandma's house when you were with her making this or eating it. I hope your family loves it. I'm Julie from The Best Cake Recipes. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check back next week for another video.